Really thankful to Dr. Bhupesh for including me in this wonderful instruction course. I'll be talking about anterior laminar keratoplasty. Now, anterior laminar keratoplasty basically it includes a spectrum of surgeries which takes care of the diseases of cornea involving from the most superficial part to deeper down up to the Descemet's level. So this is what is the whole part is considered as anterior laminar keratoplasty. And for a Descemet's bearing anterior laminar keratoplasty, a deep anterior laminar keratoplasty has been coined. Now, the indications for anterior laminar keratoplasty can be superficial corneal dystrophies, Salzmann nodular degeneration, keratoconus, granular dystrophies, Freude degeneration, trachomatous keratopathy, superficial scars, etc. There can be more, and these are the common indications for which you do anterior laminar keratoplasty. So, start with the superficial layer. If you have the most superficial opacity, you can manage it just by a phototherapeutic keratectomy, which is not actually a keratoplasty, but it does, need a mention because it takes care of the superficial corneal disorder. If you go further deeper down, like for 50 to 75 microns of stroma, you can ablate by phototherapeutic keratectomy and you can clear up the cornea and go ahead. But if it goes deeper down up to 150 to 200 microns, you can do a sutureless anterior laminar keratoplasty. If it's further deeper down, you have to put sutures, you have to go deeper down. So phototherapeutic keratectomy can be done by excimer laser, and it is really helpful in improving visual acuity, and it delays the requirement or sometimes completely defers the requirement of any anterior laminar keratoplasty. So it really deserves a mention in this set of these set of surgeries. So for this, it's a case of a band-shaped keratopathy wherein epithelium is debrided and then excimer laser is used to ablate the superficial stroma so that the opacity is removed, and then you clean it up, put a bandage contact lens, and that is it. And you can see here there are certain conditions which can be very nicely managed by PTK, like pre-op Rees buckler dystrophy, improving to this condition. Band-shaped keratopathy, two examples, improving quite significantly. A case of a pterygium involving the visual axis. After pterygium surgery, this was the scar left. So PTK was done and you can see the cornea cleared up completely. So it is really helpful in delaying or it's really helpful in deferring anterior laminar keratoplasty, thereby saving one tissue and that can be utilized for any other case. So these are some of the studies. There are many more studies which have shown that PTK is quite useful in superficial corneal opacity. Now, if the opacity, as I said, goes deeper down, like up to 150 microns, etc., then in that case, a sutureless superficial anterior laminar keratoplasty can be done. Something in a case of a granular dystrophy, you can, earlier, what we used to do was either a laminar keratoplasty or a laminar keratoplasty with sutures or a PTK to remove the clarity, to improve the clarity in the central part of the cornea. But now, sutureless anterior laminar keratoplasty is a very good option which can clear up the opacity and the cornea can become very clean. This is an example, surgical example of a case wherein sutureless anterior laminar keratoplasty was done in a case of Salzmann nodular degeneration, ocular surface disorder. So the tissue, the donor lenticule has been fashioned, and this is the case of the trachomatous keratopathy. And if you have a small one or two these nodules, they require a manual removal. Once you remove it manually, and then you cut it with the microkeratome head. And after removing the superficial opacity, you can see how clear the cornea has become. And there is some amount of cataract in this. So you can very well do cataract surgery also, so that the visual rehabilitation is complete in this particular case. And once you have put the IOL, then you can just put air bubble in the anterior chamber, put the donor lenticule, and then dry the edges so that you can draw the fluid from the interface. And once you have done it adequately, then you can put fibrin glue at the edge so that the tissue remains there. This is just for the initial adhesion, and later on the tissue adheres well. And then after that, you put a bandage contact lens over it. So SALC is a very good procedure. This is another example wherein there was a corneal scar and SALC was done, and you can see how reasonably clear it has become. And there are multiple studies, a study from our own center wherein SALC has been found to be very effective. Now, femtosecond laser has really revolutionized the refractive surgeries, and it has also worked a lot in cataract, in cataract as well as the corneal surgery. And this is an example of a femtosecond assisted anterior lamellar keratoplasty. The idea is that you use femtosecond laser to create the dissection so that you get a nice dissection plane. And the advantage of femtosecond laser is that you get a flap kind of a thing, which is not a meniscus one, which is a planar one. So you have a vertical edge. So the adhesion, the alignment of the tissue is very, very good. Instead, when you use a microkeratome, wherein you get a edge which is sloping, a meniscus kind of a flap. So this is a case of a healed keratitis where there was vascularization as well. So you can see that sometimes the femtosecond laser doesn't, penetrate fully in every area wherein there is an opacity. So sometimes you have to do a bit more effort in dissecting. Now, once you have dissected the tissue, you take the patient to the main OR, and then you remove this dissected tissue. You can see how opacified it is because of the scar, and then as you have dissected it already, so removing is very easy. The biggest advantage of using femtosecond laser is what I said, that the alignment of the edges is very good. It's a vertical edge, as you can see here. It is just to wash the blood, and then we dry it and then put the donor lenticule over it. In this particular case, because I had to dissect a bit, I had to do some more effort. So I could see a little bit of irregularity on the surface. So I'm just trying to, polish it a bit and then put a donor lenticule over it. Now, once it is there, you just dry the edges and put fibrin glue and then put a bandage contact lens over it. Bandage contact lens. And in these cases, I prefer putting bandage contact lens for a little longer period, like something like 3 weeks or so. And there are studies which have shown good results of femtosecond assisted anterior lamellar keratoplasty. There can be some complications. There can be glue can go to the peripheral part of the edge. There can be a little bit of epithelial ingrowth sometimes, but mostly it stays in the peripheral part only. And sometimes you can get a little bit of haze. These complications can be seen. Yeah, I'll just move fast. So if the opacity is deeper down, you can do anterior lamellar keratoplasty, which can be manual or automated. So if you are doing a manual, then you have to dissect it manually and then place a donor lenticule. And if you are using a microkeratome, then you dissect it with a microkeratome. And the advantage of doing a procedure with microkeratome, particularly in such cases, is that you can see I'm using a 250 micron head, a case of a trachomatous keratopathy with thinning, a little bit of thinning of cornea. After dissecting it, you can see you have a very uniform interface, and this is a scar which after dissection will become reasonably clear. These are the post-op picture, the clear interface. If this keratoglobus wherein tuck-in lamellar keratoplasty can be done to strengthen the peripheral part of the cornea as well. And this is the post-operative picture. So tuck-in of the tissue in the peripheral part. I'll skip the deep anterior lamellar keratoplasty, just as Dr. Fogla will be discussing about it. Just a final word about use of IOCT guided anterior lamellar procedure. When you use intraoperative OCT, it is really helpful because it lets you know at what level you are working. So at what level you are dissecting. So that you get to know by lifting the tissue, you know how much residual tissue is left. And it also helps you to know that in one area, if you have more tissue and in the other area you have less, you can dissect accordingly, and you exactly know in real time that where is the extra tissue. Like if there's a ridge here like this, you can remove the ridge and a regular interface and clear up the tissue. So in conclusion, anterior laminar keratoplasty is a very useful tool for replacement of disease layer by a healthy donor tissue. If the disease is involving up to 200 microns, then you can manage it without requirement of any suture. But if it's deeper down, then you have to use more tissue, and for that you require sutures. So you can do a full laminar keratoplasty, which can be automated, ALTK, or a deep anterior laminar keratoplasty. Thank you very much for your patient listening.